listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Well, hello, everyone. I see Myra's checked in, so I am semi-supervised. Thank you, dear. I'm going to this isn't going to be very long today because, as you know, I've been unsupervised for a couple of weeks, and she is on her way back tomorrow, and I've got some things to get ready. So, we want to thank everybody for joining me today. If you like what you hear, don't be afraid of the share buttons and the like buttons and all those good things. Make sure that you click on the notifications, all that good stuff, all the advertisements I usually do as people kind of get tuned in here. Just, don't be afraid of that stuff. If you like what you hear, chances are someone else will also, and they might need to hear it from you. So don't be afraid of that kind of stuff. I want to look at something today, and I remember some years ago hearing someone say, they wanted to basically they were in charge of a big project for a church, and they said, I just wanted to do something for God. Well, what's he looking for? We went over that in the last few episodes. He's actually looking for you to be obedient. And when that happens, what does he do for you? Well, if you're one of those many, many people who want to see the Creator do something miraculously huge, and I mean something so big it makes splitting the Red Sea or making the sun stand still look small, okay? That time is coming, a time when he will recreate the heavens and the earth, and he will restore his creation back to the perfection that he intended. But for right now, we should be satisfied with just the smaller things. The things we see all the time, and we don't really realize sometimes that we see it. David understood that not all miracles are big. Some even seem almost mundane, right? It's just, we might even kind of chalk it up to, well, it just sort of happened, right? Well, as David was being pursued by King Saul, he went to Moab, and in 1 Samuel 23:3 we read, From there David went to Mizpah in Moab. He spoke to the king of Moab and said, Please let my father and mother come and stay with you. Let them stay until I learn what God is going to do for me. Now, he wanted to make sure that his parents were safe, right? He was honoring them by keeping them safe from any harm that Saul might have been considering. He was chasing David. He wanted David to come out in the open. He really wanted to defeat David. But that just wasn't in the Almighty's plans, was it? The part I want to concentrate on here, though, is David was willing to wait until he had an answer from his Creator. What will God do for me? How's he going to work this out? How's this going to come, and what are the events that are going to take place where it's going to work out not for my glory and my satisfaction, but for the ultimate plan of the Creator himself? He didn't say if God chooses to intervene, right? He didn't say, let him stay, and maybe, just maybe, God will work this out. That's not what he said. He said, until I learn how this is going to happen. He was trusting enough that he knew he knew his Creator would arrange something. And like many of us hoping to see a miracle, he didn't know what it was going to look like. He had no clue what his future would hold. Well, earlier, in 1 Samuel, we learned that Samuel had a very wise teacher. And just after Samuel had spoken to the Creator, you remember the story. Samuel, Samuel. And he ran to Eli, what do you want? I didn't call you. Well, just after that, Eli asked him what he had witnessed. And his answer is found in 1 Samuel 3:18. Samuel told him everything and did not hide a thing from him. He is Jehovah, replied Eli. Let him do what is good in his eyes. Now, Eli's answer is kind of where I get what I often say. Just let God be God, right? And although I usually am a little sarcastic, and I say it's a good thing that Jehovah's God and not me, because I would mess things up. It's just that simple. I would. And most of us would anyway, right? So the best advice that I would be able to give anybody is just let God be God. Now, if you're familiar with the book of Ruth, you know that she'd fallen on some very difficult times. Some may not consider what happened much more than a series of, coincidences. But for her to wind up marrying Boaz was quite the miracle. The events that led up to Boaz buying the field to redeem and make Ruth his wife, while at the same time raising up the name of her deceased husband so he would not be forgotten, had to be orchestrated by the Almighty himself. It's not just a series of haphazard events, right? This was carefully planned events with the right people in the right places to make it happen. Jonah's another book that describes not just a miracle of a large fish, a fish big enough to swallow Jonah without harm, but the sailors who threw Jonah overboard became believers when they saw what happened. And, after hearing the message, the king of Nineveh and all of the Ninevites were repented, and they were spared the wrath of the Creator. Those aren't just coincidences. Those are things that happened, all orchestrated by the Almighty having everything in place. How many years did it take that fish to grow? How many years did it take that fish to get that big so that he was able to be there in the right place at the right time? These are the things we don't think about. We often think, well, God just made the fish big enough. Well, not necessarily. He does things in his time. He plans them out. He doesn't work like so many of us do on reaction. He carefully plans and orchestrates things, and that is a great example of that. But still, we think the small things are nothing more than coincidences. Well, there's actually no biblical Hebrew word for coincidence. Everything is attributed to the Almighty being involved in our lives. Everything our Creator does, it guides our lives, and it guides the lives of the people around us. And here is the but. How we respond to that guidance demonstrates something about our character as well. How did Mary respond when the messenger told her she would get pregnant before marrying Joseph? How did Joseph respond when he was told what would happen? How did Noah respond when he was told to build the ark? Isn't it a pretty good thing he did? We can read about how Moses answered when he had, the most ultimate job interview in history. How do you respond when something happens to you, whether you think it's good or whether you think it's bad? Most of us, have heard stories or we've read things, about someone missed a plane and the plane crashed, and it's like, oh, if I'd have been on that plane, I'd have been right there with those people. Some of us might have taken a wrong turn. We might have answered the phone from a wrong number. Did these things just happen? Now, don't confuse some of these things with what I'm going to say is the dumb stuff we do, right? When you cut your finger because you're rushing to prepare a meal, okay, did the Almighty orchestrate that? Probably not. That was just us being careless. Now, Yeshua, Jesus, tells the crowd that was gathered in Luke 13:4 about the Tower of Siloam falling and killing 18 people. He's saying sometimes things happen, and a tower simply collapsing was probably due to poor craftsmanship. Much like you being in a hurry, you're slicing vegetables or something and you cut your finger, you were in a hurry. But that tower falling and killing people was an event that occurred. And apparently there was, why did this happen? Oh, were those people sinners? Well, no more than anybody else. What he's saying is that sometimes carelessness leads to tragedy, right? Sometimes being careless leads to tragedy. Back in the in the 40s and 50s, doctors thought that smoking was good for you, right? We now know better. But yet people still do it. And what happens? The outcome remains the same. Carelessness ends in tragedy. However, more often than not, when something happens, it's our Creator doing something. He's involved in our lives in some way. I know a lot of people who think they're living well without God in their life. And I know a lot of people who have rejected the Almighty and think they're on top of the world. But their world will collapse. Yeah, they might see, a time of prosperity. It's possible. But the time will come when they will pay for their sins. That you can count on. When we involve the Almighty in every aspect of our life, not just to call on Him when things are tough, like, oh, it's a bad time, I got to dial 1-800-prayer. That's not what He's looking for. That's not what He is looking to be involved in every aspect of your life. When you're happy, when you're sad, the big things, the little things. It's not, we all think, oh, He'll take care of the big things. Little things will take care of themselves. Well, He's orchestrating the little things, little dumb stuff sometimes. I shouldn't say dumb stuff. Little things that we think aren't important, like some of the people we meet, right? And our attitude should be much like David, trusting and expecting the Creator to do something in our life. Not everything the Creator does will be on the same level as creating the heavens and the earth, or splitting a body of water, or making the sun stand still. How many of us have either seen or know of healing when doctors have given up hope? Oh, it's terminal. And the next thing you know, the person's not got anything wrong with them. They're healed. Some of us have seen relationships restored after years of bickering, especially in families. Some have experienced meeting new friends somewhat from what seemed like a chance meeting. Some of us, myself included, have even found love in marriage from something as normal and mundane as walking into a store for a pint of milk and some cupcakes. You know, it happens. I'm living proof of it. These things are not coincidences. They didn't just happen out of the blue. These things were carefully orchestrated by the Creator. Carefully orchestrated by the Creator. That's something we need to remember. So think about the things that have happened to you, the people you've met. How did you respond? Were you grateful for the opportunity? Or did you reject what was put right in front of you? That's something to think about, isn't it? When I met that person, I didn't think, they were going to be worth my time. I'll be honest with you, I prejudge everybody I meet because now that sounds terrible, right? I need to put a caveat here. I try not to be prejudiced, and I try not to do that. But when I meet someone, one of the first things I think about is how will this relationship affect the future? Are they going to be someone that I am going to want to be friends with, want to get to know, or are they going to be somebody that I need to avoid? And what's the lesson here? That's what I mean when I say I prejudge everyone I meet. Think about the things that have happened to you. Were you grateful for the opportunity? Even the ones that might not have worked out the way you thought they would? Now, you might not have been asked to build an ark or lead a group of people out of slavery, but did you smile when you met someone? Did you take the time out of your busy schedule to speak to somebody? Maybe, it was something as simple and seemingly, I hate to use the word mundane, but something so weird as just kicking a ball back to a group of children that were playing. Maybe you did something as easy as giving a neighbor a ride or picking up something from the market for somebody you barely know. These small things matter just as much as the big things. Actually, the small things to some people might matter much more, especially if they're in need right now. What will your Creator do for you today? Like David, what are you expecting today? Will he have someone help you? Or will he put somebody in front of you that you are able to help? What that might look like is going to be as different as each and every one of us is different. Right? I can't give you prime examples here because every person you meet is different. Every time you meet that person, it's going to be a different thing. The events that lead up to that, their past, your past, all of that takes into account. The stories about these things might be similar, but each time something like that happens, it will probably be the Almighty working and being involved in your life. I know a lot of us have been taught, God doesn't worry about the little things. He takes care of the big stuff. But he does worry he doesn't worry. He is concerned with the little things. He's so concerned that he orchestrates those little chance meetings. He's so concerned he orchestrates, how the events in your life form who you are. He's so concerned that every time we meet someone, every time we go somewhere, every time we miss a plane or take a wrong turn or answer a wrong number, it's someone needing to hear something from you, or it's you not needing to be where you thought you should be at a certain time. You see, he knows that the small things add up to big things. So we should probably change our attitude and be thankful for the little things he does, not just the big things. Be equally thankful for the little things because, well, I don't really think our Creator sees much difference between the little things and the big things. He spends so much time and so much energy putting small things together for us so that we can enjoy the big things. So the little things we need to enjoy as well. The difference between the big stuff and the little stuff isn't going to matter in, a few thousand years, right? But what he's actually looking for is for us to be thankful for everything he does for us, whether it's something big, like some miraculous healing, or something that may seem small, like meeting someone new who can either help you or be helped by you, who can become a friend or a lesson. See how I changed that there? Okay, just saying. So what's he going to do for you today? Whatever that is, I hope you're thankful for it. Try to be. It'll change your attitude. It'll change your life. So I said this was going to be kind of quick because I've got a lot to catch up on. Until Thursday when Myra comes back. Well, she'll be back. Put it that way. I wish you many, many blessings, everyone.